Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 176. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Today's episode actually came from one of the members of my Facebook group. It is a free group. If you want to join us, you can go over to tinyurl.com/Moms Overcoming Overwhelm. We are currently in the midst of a 5-day reset challenge, which has to do with tidying and keeping one area tidy for a full 5 days, which is a lot harder than you would think. And that is the inspiration a little bit for what today's topic is. Actually, it is a pain point that one of the members shared in the group. She feels like she is tidying up all the time, that from sun up to sundown, she is always cleaning up after other people. And if you feel the same way, then I am happy to share today 3 steps to get off the tidy up hamster wheel. So what do you say? Grab that notebook and pen and let's dive into today's episode. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Moms Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear off some counter space. Let's do this. Okay, so this feedback came, like I said, from one of the members of the Facebook group. We have a couple of community chats. One of them has to do with accountability for our decluttering challenges, and the other one is where just you can share what you're struggling with. So that's where she shared this. She says, I'm fighting so hard for a peaceful home that is clear of clutter. My mind can't handle the mess. It doesn't seem to matter how much I take out and how constantly I do tidy-ups. We do the entire living space, kitchen, dining, living room on a daily basis, if not multiple times a day. But the mess keeps exploding, and I feel like I'm doing nothing but tidying up from sunrise to sunset. My kids go to bed, and I keep cleaning until I have to go to bed. But day to day, I have to do it over and over again. It feels like no progress. Well, first of all, I appreciate the vulnerability of sharing that with us. And also the first thing I let her know is that you are not alone. You are not alone. We have all felt that way. I feel that way sometimes. I'm like, does anyone see what I see? It doesn't seem that way. So I'm really excited to share these 3 steps with you that you can hopefully use to get you off of that tidy up hamster wheel. So the first step is that we have to stop the inflow. Okay. So she was mentioning about how it's like constant feeling of tidying up and also like decluttering. And as long as we are changing, and our kids are of course always changing, there's going to be some decluttering that's going to need to be done because kids grow out of stuff. You know, they have toys and games that they no longer play with anymore because they're getting older. We might change as far as like the clothes that we're wearing if our bodies change or our hobbies change, all of these different things. So some decluttering is inevitable, but what is really impactful is to figure out what is coming in. So imagine that it's your kids' bath time and you turn the water on full flow. And then it's like, no, Mom, I have enough water, but you can't turn off the flow. And you're frantically taking a bucket and you're trying to get the extra water out of the tub. That's sort of like what it is when we don't turn off the inflow of what's coming into our house. And then we're frantically decluttering, trying to get out from under the mess. So this does require some intention and some tracking to figure out maybe just for a week or 2 weeks, what is coming into your house and whether it's a necessity or a non-necessity. And this also includes not only what you are paying for, but what you might be getting for free. So if you find that your weakness is hand-me-downs or things that are free that you may not need, then that would be something to note. And then considering whether you want to do some sort of shopping ban or no buy month where you're only getting the essential things. We're finishing up January now, so maybe that can be for February, that we're really focusing on, okay, I'm just going to get things that I need. If my kid gets a hole in their socks, then I'm going to replace the socks. Obviously, food, toiletries, those types of things are essential, but otherwise I'm not getting those non-essential things. The reason we want to do that is because we cannot focus on what is already in our home if stuff keeps coming in and in and in. And this is not just from us, it's also from our spouse, from our kids, really paying attention. What is coming across the threshold of our front door? Okay, so that is step number 1, to stop the inflow so that we can breathe and actually assess what we already have. So the second step is to do that assessment, but also to contain the current volume that we have. And I've mentioned Dana K. White's container concept the entire time I've had this podcast for over 2 years. I'm actually reading one of her books called Organizing for the Rest of Us, which is fantastic. But she always talks about making the container the bad guy. I love that because it isn't that, we are keeping everything we could possibly have the space for. We are setting a limit, and that limit is the deciding factor. The limit is the bad guy. So looking at the different areas in your home, what areas are stressing you out the most? And then looking to see what categories there are and how we can contain those categories. So let's use a playroom as an example. So let's say you have Legos and Hot Wheels and stuffed animals and dress-up clothes and all these different categories. You want to set the limit of whatever container you're using, the box, the bin, etc., based upon how important that thing is to you and how much value that it has. And I'll get into that a little bit more in just a minute. But once you've kind of set a limit that seems to make sense based upon what it is, then you're going to start with the things that you love and use the most, play that love, like, maybe, no game, right? And once you get to those maybes, the things you're not sure about, if you really can't make a decision, then you can use an out of sight, out of mind bin. And this is how we experiment with less without having the cognitive load and the decision fatigue of, oh my gosh, I have to make this decision right now. This is too hard. But you have to make sure that it is a temporary thing, because otherwise it just becomes storage of stuff that you don't necessarily need. And remembering, like I said, the size of container reflects the value it is to you. So my kids I've talked about this before, they have their treasure boxes, treasure in air quotes, and it is all of the plastic junk that they get from various things, birthday parties, from school, from the dentist. We don't really get Happy Meals, but if we did, the toys from Happy Meals, those types of things, okay? So my kids amass a lot of that stuff. I'm sure yours do too. And I've given them one set boundary, a small shoebox. I would show you, except on the video, except my laptop is being held up by the shoebox. And then that's all they get. So if they bring a bunch of stuff home from a birthday party, we don't say, oh, let me get you a bigger bin. Let me get you a huge tub for all this plastic crap. No, because the value is not there. It's not what we want to be taking up the space. We want the space to be taken up with the toys that they play with all the time. We want them to be able to have room to play. We want them to be able to have their beds and their dressers and the things that are necessary. So we want to contain based upon the value of what that is to us and to our loved ones. So that is step number 2. All right, so step number 3 is to incorporate habits into all of this, because it might feel right now like you are the only one that cares about the mess. And guess what? You might be. You might be the only one that cares. And the problem is we can't force people to care. As much as we would like to, we can't force people to care about the things that we care about. However, we can make it an expectation that people take responsibility for living in a home and being part of a family team. So this is something, if you are married, you want to talk to your spouse or your partner about it and to be like, okay, we need to be on the same page about the expectations about how this home is maintained and how it is managed, and get on the same page with them. And then once you do, then you can introduce this to your kids. And the thing that's always been the most successful for me is to do some sort of if-then kind of habit stack. So if you do this not so fun thing, cleaning up, then you get to watch the show. If you do your morning routine where you make sure that your bed is made and everything is tidy and you put the laundry in the laundry basket, then you get to do your tablet before school. So it's just not like, oh, we can just kind of do the fun things whenever we want. There needs to be some sort of incentive or pause for that. And that's a great way to incorporate it. One of the other tips that I love, this came from Lisa Lazat, who was back, I believe it's episode 35. And she says that she uses the question, who are you leaving this for? I love that so much. Maybe not so good with the super little kids, but if they're elementary school and they're leaving their dishes right at the table, who are you leaving that for? Because if they say, oh, Mom, I was leaving it for you, then that doesn't sound so good, right? Or they're leaving the room and they forget their water bottle and their Lego car. Who are you leaving that for, right? So it's a great way to get them in the habit of picking up after themselves. And then you want to build those tidying routines into your daily routines based upon when your energy is highest. What we don't want is that everyone goes to bed and you are cleaning up after everyone goes to bed when you're exhausted. We would like to try to avoid that, right? So we're going to look earlier in the day. Okay, so when the kids come home from school, maybe they have their snack, because if they're anything like my kids, they're hangry. And then after they have the snack, what are we going to do? Well, perhaps before we watch the show, do the tablet, have the fun time, we're going to make sure that the backpacks are emptied out, the papers are put where they need to be reviewed, and then the fun thing can happen, because that's better than trying to do that at the end of the night when they're tired and ready for bed, right? So those are just a couple of tips that I hope that will help you if you feel like you are constantly tidying up. It does take time. You can't incorporate all of this in a day. I would recommend starting with the first one, being able to master that hopefully after 2 to 3 weeks of understanding, okay, what's coming in. Then for containing the current volume, finding the area or areas in your home that are stressing you out the most, setting limits around those things to kind of contain what you currently have in your home. And then the implementing the habits, it does take time. It does take repetition. It takes reminders of why are we doing this? Why is it important that we pick up after ourselves? And that honestly can take years. But we are here to try to launch our kids into being full-fledged adults where they're taking care of their own homes. So it may take a while, but the point is that we're being consistent. We're explaining why it's important and helping them to build those habits. So I hope that that was helpful to you. Remember to join the Facebook group at tinyurl.com/Moms Overcoming Overwhelm. And otherwise, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye for now. If you liked today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact. But 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.